Conny, hello. Good to see you again. Is it coming a bit of a tradition? We met on the balcony at Money 2020 last year.
Absolutely, and this time without Matteo Rizzi threatening to throw me a bug there.
I've actually just seen him in the press lounge, actually. I should have dragged him along and kept the tradition going.
Yeah.
But what a great atmosphere.
A fantastic atmosphere. It's wonderful to see so many people all together again. I think everybody's enjoying sort of the physical closeness again.
I think so too. It's an amazing vibe. You just need to look at the smiles and listen to the vibe.
Yeah.
Well, we're here today to talk about something very close to both of our hearts, female founders. Now, you said this morning you've just come up from Rise, back from the Rise event, and they really do support women rising up through FinTech. So do you want to tell our global community a little bit about what you heard this morning at Rise?
Yeah, well, what I learned this morning at Rise, and I go there every year because I'm a mentor, and I've seen some great progress from the women there, actually. It really pays off, it gives results. This morning was really interesting. It was about the imposter syndrome. And without probably admitting to it, but most women, you looked around the room and you saw, yes, imposter syndrome, all women suffer from it. And we have this little animal that whispers in our ear, you think you're good at this, but you're going to be found out one of these days. You're the woman, the empress without clothes. And we were talking about how you deal with it. And I remember from my very own situation that when we had just founded Bankify, I became very ill. And one of the worst nightmares and dreams I had under the morphine and everything in hospital was seriously the imposter syndrome. I found myself back at high school having to resit my exam because I'd been found out I was good at nothing. And one of the ways of dealing with it, and this is what I did as well, is give it a place. And one of the ladies this morning said she actually gave it a name, and it was like a chimp that sits on her shoulder. I said, you don't have to kick him away the whole time. Sometimes you have to be kind to it, but just give it a place and let it not whisper in your ear the whole time. And I thought it was a marvelous way of sort of giving it a name, and I'm sure that most people suffer from it. And I think it really helps, and this is what Rise does. When a room full of young, ambitious women see that even girls our age, every now and then suffer from it, but we've given it a place, like so many of the, incomplete things in our lives.
There's a management book called The Chimp Management, which is where that theory came from.
Yeah.
Written by the same guy, psychologist that was behind the success of the British cycling team.
Absolutely.
So that is based on very, very sound psychological fact. So Rise is all about inspiring women. Conny, I know that you have inspired, I would say, hundreds and hundreds of women in FinTech. Female founders is what I'd really like to talk to you about.
Yes.
So you've got a depth of experience to share. It's getting tougher, isn't it? It should be getting easier.
I think the climate outside is cold. It's getting colder. In fact, I think the climate is good for women founders.
Okay, go for it.
Women founders tend to build their plans less on bullish expectations. And I think we're taking a lot of wind and air out of the valuations that we see right now. I still think that combinations are the best, like Mark Hartley and myself at Bankify, they're the best. But I think there's certain skills that women bring to the fore that will become crucial now. And I'll name this a few. Discipline. Just get up and work hard at what you were planning to do. Things you need to do every day, keep doing them well. We're quite good at that. Focus. Some men are pretty good at focus, women are good at focus too. But then the two last ones are empathy is massively important now. Empathy in the sense of feeling for your team members, but most of all also feeling for your founders, your backers, and your customers. And the most important one, I think, is kindness. And with kindness, I always say, you build relationships for life. And boy, are you going to need to draw on relationships for life when the going gets tough.
So kindness we saw a lot of kindness through the pandemic. I call it karma, what you give out, you get back. It's whatever you label it as, to use that term before. It comes back to the same thing. It is treating people with respect, with kindness. Are you seeing a lot more of that, or?
I think people are getting a better appreciation for it this day and age, and a lot of
relationships, isn't it?
It is about building lifelong relationships, and I think, you know, everything that now has a name like empowerment, woke, etc. You and I have always done it, but it had a different name. And I think that the whole kindness element is so massively important, because everything is cut into sort of a few words, shorter experiences, instant. And kindness is perceived by many people as a soft skill, but it's actually a very hard skill. And it's a tough skill. And being kind to everyone, I always say be kind to everybody. Everybody has a problem you know nothing about. But everybody also has an opportunity you know nothing about. And if you're kind, people are willing to share stuff with you. And then the final thing for me around kindness is, and you believe in this as well, is that we come to an age where it is literally an obligation to give back. You know, we've had a pretty good ride in our lives. Also during COVID, I would host dinners at my house for young people who had just started at ABN or ING or a Deloitte or wherever, glued behind the screen. And I said, well, let the police come to my house and throw them out. Bring it on.
We might have to edit that bit. Keep going.
But I think it was important because we have gathered a lot of social capital through our lives, through relationships. You and I, if you phone me, I pick up the phone. Yeah. If somebody who doesn't know you, first they would be, you know, say, oh, why would I call Helen? She's too busy. Oh, so that social capital is an obligation to share. And I think that is also an act of kindness, but that's why I say it's not just about being pleasant, it's a tough skill because people need access to other people.
But it's a privilege as well. So one of the, you know, on International Women's Day, you know, the LinkedIn goes absolutely, lights up with purple hearts, doesn't it? And one of the nicest posts I read, and I won't name check them here, was a very large company, their chief exec, had introduced me to a member of their staff that had left, and she had some personal issues that had related to led to 2 deaths in her family or 2 suicides in her family, and could I help and get involved and introduce her to some people within the financial services that could introduce a product that would help prevent that happening to other families. So kindness right down the chain. And she just put a little post on LinkedIn saying that, you know, thank you so much to Helen, she was inspirational, thank you for your kindness. Out of all the big deals that we do, that one, you know, months later she'd actually said thank you. And it's that payback, but you don't actually do it for the payback, you do it because it's the right thing to do at the time and you're in a privileged position.
Exactly.
I mean, I've shortened that story because I don't want to sort of give the game away, but you all know that behind the scenes we are both in a privileged position where we can touch people's lives, do a lot to help without actually getting, you know, or wanting even the publicity. It's a lot more than the LinkedIn life.
It's a lot more than that, and it's also helping young women discover their own skills, and we had to do it more or less on our own. And I have to say, I've always been helped by men who threw me in at the deep end because they believed in me. So that was probably the kindest thing they did to me, whereas it was also pretty cruel. But having said that, you know, in the RISE program last year, there was a beautiful lady who was my mentee, and she was a second-generation Syrian refugee working for a bank in Lebanon. And that's a very entitled and privileged community. If you're not from a similar family, you don't rise through the ranks. She fought her way into it. She also came from a traditional Islamic background. She liberated herself to a degree from that, not from her religion, but from the shackles, so to speak. And she said that she was struggling and she wanted to find some places, she wanted to move on. But her family, the love for her family was holding her back. All sorts of things were holding her back. And I did a whole identity exercise with her and I said, look at yourself as if you were a brand. You have a brand promise to the world. We worked on it over 6 months. She totally discovered herself. She stood up to the plate with new confidence. She's now rising through the ranks and out. And whenever I see her somewhere on the platform, it just makes me happier than anything else I could have ever done. Because that really is sort of sharing. And that is what I mean by kindness. It looks like a soft skill, but it's a hard skill because it makes people, you know, more suitable for life and career.
So to round up, Conny, it's been absolutely fabulous talking. If you had any top tips to give women in FinTech, what would they be? Your sort of 3 top tips?
Oh, I would say, first of all, be yourself. I have in many situations tried to tone myself down a bit.
Be authentic.
Be authentic, be very much be yourself. Dare to be who you are. Because if you think, I should change myself because I'm a bit too much of this, or this environment wants me to be like this, you lose your personality and you lose the reason why they invited you into the room in the first place.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So throw yourself on the table. Secondly, not literally, that's very Dutch. Secondly, I would say be resilient. Women are very good in being agile. If the times change with it. Keep your focus, keep your path, but be ready to change, you know. Adaptable.
Yeah? Okay.
Be adaptable in how you go about things, not about what you want to achieve. And then finally, be kind to everybody.
So on the kindness thing, do you think women are kind back to themselves? Do we think?
No, not at all.
Not any hesitation. You didn't miss a beat.
No,
yeah?
not at all.
So
no.
maybe that's a great way to wrap up and to encourage every woman in FinTech, after they've given their all to their team, and most female leaders do, okay?
Yeah.
As do many male leaders, of course. But just to take a moment out to be kind to themselves and to nurture themselves so they can continue to nurture their team.
Exactly. So before you go to sleep at night, tell the chip on your shoulder, the monkey, you had a great day.
What a great way to round up. Conny, it's been absolutely fabulous talking to you. Thank you.